Hello guys and welcome to this video. Now I've got the new 39mm AP style case here and I wanted to record a video on how pretty much anyone could make this into a really cool Seiko mod. So I'm going to show you step by step how I build the Arabic dial from a real Seiko into this case. Now you will need a few tools. Obviously you need the case itself. I've also got here the bracelet, the lovely AP style bracelet with that nice reflection that you get on all those links. As I said in my last video on this, nicer quality as well than the older AP style or Seiko-Oak cases that you might find elsewhere. Slightly smoother links, much easier to use as well, and more importantly, much easier for us to modify. Now you will need a few other tools. We've got some nice screwdrivers here. Highly recommend, if you're getting into this, or it's just nice to have them around anyway, get yourself one of these sort of carousel cases. I never thought this would be that useful until I actually tried it, and now I can't live without it. It's great. So there will be links to all the tools and everything I'm using in the description. We of course need a donor Seiko watch, which I've got right here. This is a GMT that I'll mention at the end because I've got some other tools that you guys might be interested in as well. You'll need something to clean the glass. We've got some Rodico, a cloth. What else have we got? A regular spring bar tool, that'll come in later, and this nice cleaning pen. This is from Cousins UK, but you can you can also find these in other places. Anyway, I'll link all of the stuff I'm going to show you today later. So join me as we take this and turn it into this. This is the 39mm Seiko-Oak Arabic dial. So a lovely new case on that original Seiko watch. We've kept the 7S26 movement, we've kept the original hands, and it looks awesome. Feels great too, nice quality parts. You can find the links to everything in the description. All you'll really need is a good quality screwdriver set, a few simple watchmaking tools, some things to clean the glass, and that's it. It's that easy. So everyone can have a go at this. If you're into watches, you want to make one of these, it's going to cost you somewhere in the $200 to $300-ish range to have a go at doing this yourself. I'll explain all that as we go, so keep watching if you would like to learn how to build one of these exactly as I've done here. Now, as mentioned, we are going to need a donor watch. This is a really cool dial from Seiko. It's the SNKP21 The key thing you've got to watch out for though is that the crown is at 3 and it's an automatic watch. As long as the dial you find in an original Seiko watch fits that category, you should just be able to drop this out and put it into this new case. That's what I'm going to try and show for you now. So the first thing we're going to do on this one is take the bracelet off. Then we're going to unscrew the case back, pop the movement out, and put it into this case. So let me just get the bracelet off this. I'll prepare the camera a bit better and we'll get going. Now that we've got the bracelet off, I'm just going to flip this over and we've got the case back. For this, you'll need a case back remover tool. There's various types out there. I find this type particularly helpful. I'm just used to using it, but choose whichever is going to be comfortable for you. You can hold the case down while you do this. I tend to just hold it and position the pins in here. This particular watch has nice, easy, deep grooves in the back, and they're never screwed on that tight for Seiko 5 models, so it's quite easy to unfasten it. So what's going to happen is, once we take this off, you do want to watch out for things like dust and dirt getting into movement. But you can see we've got the movement there, and what we're looking for is this tiny little pin. You can just about see the black dot where I'm pointing. We're going to press that whilst pulling the crown open. Now again, with these kind of watches, they're not screw down crowns, so you don't need to unscrew it first. All you've got to do is push that pin and pop the crown open. So right now I'm holding it down onto that little pin I mentioned before. You can see how easy the crown is to remove. Now we've got no crown stem in it, the movement can just drop straight out. So in order to do that, I'm just going to take you can use any tool for this. Sometimes they drop straight out. With my experience of this particular type, you will want to help it out by just raising a little bit from underneath the movement or from the back plate, so we're not touching the mainspring or anything like that, and then flip it over and just drop it out. Now at this point I always like to just push down on the dial around the edges slightly to make sure the dial hasn't risen off the movement. It's a bit hard to see there, but you should be able to notice we've got just the dial, the movement, and on the back you'll see all the moving parts. Now at this point you might be quite concerned about holding the movement like this. The Seiko movements are quite durable, more so than you might expect. As long as you keep the area as dust free as possible and obviously don't touch the balance wheel. It's under the rotor here somewhere, there it is. So the hairspring there, you should be fine generally. Now what I am going to do though is keep this to one side and cover it with something, because you can see there's already a little dust dot there. We're going to cover this and put it to one side while we prepare the case. So guys, now it's time to prepare the case. So I've just unscrewed the crown from it. Sometimes these come disassembled already. This one came assembled, so I'm going to undo all of these 8 screws. And to do that, I'm going to use a 2mm size screwdriver from my precision set there. Important to get as good a fit for the screw lines here with the appropriate size screwdriver, otherwise it's quite easy to strip and scratch this. Also very important to keep it held down really well while you're doing this. So if you push it down whilst locating the first screw, if they're already installed, it shouldn't take you too much force to undo them, and you can hear it clicking. So we're going to move on to the next one. And you get the idea. So I'll complete the rest. We're just going to leave them like so, because then you can lift the whole case back off. So once you've got all the screws out, you should be able to just lift this and put it out the way. Now at this point, you've just got to make sure that the inside of the glass is clean. I don't have my usual light here, so I'm going to make sure that is indeed clean. You want as strong a light as possible for doing this. You want to also make sure you blow out any of the dust inside or any other particles, and then once you've got a clean case, we're going to move on to the next step. Another little tool that I find useful is this type of lens or glass cleaning pen. It's just got a little microfiber disc on there, and you would just rub out any little smudges or whatever. This is really helpful. I got mine from Cousins. However, these should be available in most stores like Amazon, AliExpress, etc. I'll leave some links if I can find them too. So once you've got your clean case, we're ready to install it back over the dial and movement. So I've cleaned the case. I'm just gonna position the movement on the casing cushion. Very helpful to have one of these. If you don't, you can just use anything that helps raise it up a little bit, preferably something soft. I'm using my blower here to get rid of any potential dust that might have dropped on in the meantime, but we didn't actually do any movement work here, so it shouldn't have any fingerprints or anything on it. One last little blow of that, and then we are simply going to drop this over the dial. You'll see there's a little hole there. In these cases it's quite smooth, so it should be able to drop straight on quite easily. So we're just going to position it in the right place and press it down. You can see there is still a little bit of a gap all the way around. So at this point I'm actually going to lift it upside down, take the cushion off, and then have a good look inside here. and if it's all straight, which it was, I can just press the middle of the movement down and it should hold itself. Now there is our first look of a quite striking looking watch. I think this has come out really nice. The dial numerals are quite large on the 42 model, so compressing them down does really push them to the edges, but they do just fit. So this is looking really cool. It kind of almost reminds me of a Bulgari watch actually at this point, but anyway, I think it's the hands. Anyway, it's getting there. I'm excited to get the case back on and the crown and everything. So if you do find that it's gone a bit wonky, what you can do is adjust that, usually in the same sort of crown area, just down here. There's some spaces where you can take your spring bar tool, for example, and just help push the movement into the right position. So what you're looking for is that this opening for where the crown goes lines up perfectly with that. Most cases do have a little notch here to help you. If they don't, then yes, you can just push the movement around a little bit in there so that it's nice and straight going in. Now, for the crown, you will need a crown stem. These are often available as well. I tend to have loads of them lying around, but you will need a crown stem to screw into this for your movement. So if you are using a donor watch and you want to use up the whole watch, in theory, we can just remove the crown stem from this actual case. I'm just going to use a new one, but you can unscrew this. If you clamp this tight, you can unscrew it, and I'll show you a good clamping technique in a minute. Now here is a new crown stem. These are easily available from most mod shops. You get a few extras with movements as well. What we're going to do is chop a bit of this off. I'm just going to use some simple pliers, and I'm going to cut it somewhere in the middle of halfway. So I'm just going to clamp it down and sort of twist and push it down at the same time. You should generally get a pretty clean edge. Now at this point, we are going to need to screw this onto the crown, and you are simply going to get it on there, locating it and then fastening it on. Now you can use some pliers to help you hold this, but there is a simpler technique using some tweezers. So I've got some simple tweezers here. I'm just going to pop the square part of the crown right to the top. This is on the handle side, somewhere here, and then squeeze the tweezers down and just screw on the crown. Now, some people may suggest adding Loctite or some kind of glue to hold the crown on. Honestly, I have rarely done this. Generally, the crowns screw on quite well. Now, I have no idea if this is the right size yet, so we are going to just try and install it and see what happens. So if I locate it, it should pop in. Now this movement doesn't hand wind, so it should do nothing in the first position. You can also check if your alignment's good at this point, but we have got lots of room there, so we definitely need to make this a little bit smaller. So all I'm going to do is take it back out, cut it down and resize it, and then I will show you the actual size you need as well in a moment. So I've just repeated that step and I've refitted the crown. For reference, the size I cut the stem down to was 14.7 millimeters. That was from the end to the end before you fasten the crown on. That worked perfectly well, so that's why I would suggest that would work for any movement as well. Now, I did also have to adjust the movement in the case and rotate it a little bit more clockwise. A simple test is when you pull the crown and then push it, it should just click closed. If it gets stuck in any way, chances are it's because it's not quite aligned properly. I just caught the screw down there. And the other test is, can you screw it down properly? This new 39K set has a really nice smooth crown action, so if it's anything but smooth, it might just be a bit out of alignment. So that works well. You know, it can move fully out into every position and screw back in nicely as well. Now, now is your chance to fully inspect the watch before you put the case back on. if there's any little marks or any dust or anything like that, do this properly now, because you're gonna have to screw in 8 screws later, and that's gonna get really annoying to fix. So make sure everything is working, everything is exactly as you want it at this point. So obviously check the movement operation, check for any dust under a bright light. Also have the light pointing downwards. That's a great way to see any dust on the dial. This kind of black dial does show up everything really well, so it's quite easy to spot any issues. Some lighter colors or textured dials you might struggle a bit more with. Once we've sorted that, time to attach the case back, and that is as simple as undoing it. So simply drop it on here. Now I will show you this process just for one or two of the screws. If you've ever changed a car wheel, you'll probably know this already, but it's worth remembering for something with so many screws around the edge, it's important to go opposites. So what I mean by that is, if we start with this screw, and another little trick is to actually rotate it anti-clockwise until you can feel that you're in the right place. I don't think I've dropped that quite on right yet. There we go. So I'm gonna see that click. That means I'm right above the hole. I'm gonna screw this in, but not fully tight yet. Next, I'm gonna jump opposite and also turn that one backwards. Go down, but not fully tight. This helps it screw down evenly, because without doing that, you end up with uneven, it might be more pressure on one side, and then the seal underneath won't work as well. So keep doing that in some sort of star pattern, and then tighten everything really tight at the end. But do check everything's clean first, which is what I'm going to do now, and then we'll look at the bracelet. So I've checked this one and it's looking good. We've also screwed in carefully all of the back screws. The crown works, nice and smooth operation as well. And now we've got to do the bracelet. Just a little piece of advice when you do start adding the bracelet. Firstly, if you're ever removing the screwed links, just use a screwdriver until it clicks. So you just keep using it, and I don't know if you can hear that, but it's just clicked out. If you still struggle to pull it out of this side, use a spring bar tool with a simple end on the opposite side, and it will just help it pop out so that you can reach it. Before, I've tried to even use pliers on this edge, and you run the risk of scratching the side of the bracelet. So always better to do it that way round. I'm not going to resize this one yet. You can check the clasp is working. There are some extra screws under here you can tighten if needed. And you're just looking for this overlapping side. This side with the little square attached, that's going to be connected to the bottom of the watch. That's just a more natural way of closing it later. So this left side is going to go on the bottom of the watch. So if we take these teeth and we slot them into here. Now usually the fit on this is quite good, but you do have to be a little bit careful with attaching the final screws as well. So these longer, sort of, they look a bit like nails almost. These screws I use to attach the bracelet. So we pop them into there. Usually I like to sort of drop one side in. For this, I'm going to stick to my 1.2 size screwdriver to start with. That should fit quite well. And I'm just gently trying to push as I'm fastening it in. That helps the screw kind of move forward. Otherwise, it might not get into the tooth there. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side, and then we'll tighten them all up at the very end. So you've just got to make sure these are in the right position. And it should be quite a smooth process. Now, as far as I know, there are currently no rubber straps or leather or anything else for these cases, but when they do come out, it is fairly straightforward to pop these out. You just simply unscrew them, and just be careful not to over tighten them to allow for that in the future, or perhaps you need to change your bracelet, you have a problem with it, or you just want to update it. The parts for these aren't especially expensive. From memory, it was around $50, I think, for the case head, and about $30 for the bracelet. But you'll be able to see the up-to-date prices with any sales or anything on the links in the description. Like I said, really recommend this case over the first generation, the 42 size. Not only is it small enough to fit on most people's wrists, it's also actually a better quality case. So you can see you should get, there will still be a little bit of movement in these links. That's natural, but you can tighten them up a bit further to close them up a bit once you are all set. And just be gentle with this, because you don't want to drop your screwdriver out and end up scratching a nice big line across here. The brushing is quite susceptible to scratches, and it will stick out. So there we go, just give it a bit of a clean all over. So there you have it, guys. That is the Seiko-Oak Arabic dial. All you need to do this is the original Seiko watch. We've kept the 7S26 movement. You can see that through there. It's all Seiko branded as well. We've got the 39mm case from AliExpress. Relatively simple tools needed as well. Now, this is a popular model. In the 42 size, this is one of my most requested custom watches. So I basically showed you how to do the same as I do. You can have some fun by trying to find more interesting Seiko original watches. So these can be $100 to $200 plus the case set. Let's call that $100 with some tools. So up to about between $200 and $300, you can get yourself a really unique watch. Even a completely piece unique watch if no one's ever done it before, and you get to have some fun building it. So let me know what you think, guys. I love this case. I will leave the links to all of these tools I've got on my bench here, including the screwdrivers. We've got the case set, of course. We've got a crystal press even, I haven't mentioned, and everything you need basically. So let me know what you think, and best of luck with it. Let me know if you actually have a go at this. I'd love to see what you come up with. See you later, guys, and have a nice day.